LEGO education is probably the most easily forgotten theme. But believe it or not, LEGO has been making sets exclusively for school settings pretty much since the very beginning. Take this example from 1969, School Set. It's a set so old and obscure that pretty much the only information the internet seems to know about it comes from this old flyer. LEGO Education was originally branded as Docta, and while the pieces that make up these sets are pretty generic, it doesn't take much to see that these are not your standard LEGO kits. Many of these are obnoxiously large. In the 80s and 90s, Docta sets consistently ranked the largest by piece count year after year, and Docta was an all-encompassing theme too, with plenty of Duplo and Technic entries. 40 years later, it's pretty insane looking back on these and imagining kindergartners being entrusted with the likes of cypress trees, an element that will now cost you $20 in used condition. Imagine having 1997's Docta Castle set at your school though. How cool is this? You know kids were pocketing some of these pieces, and probably just straight up eating some of them too. Scrolling through the many Docta sets introduced me to a lot of pieces I had never seen before, especially when it came to Technic. LEGO's hyping up the Smart Brick, but 25 years ago they apparently were selling functioning LEGO solar panels. And beyond that, these sets can contain a lot of rare or exclusive printed pieces, like these extremely useful looking traffic signs, many of which didn't appear in any standard retail sets. Docta eventually rebranded to LEGO Education in 1998, but the formula stayed the same. Big sets with lots of generic, useful elements, often supplemented with teaching guides and how to use the products in the classroom. There began to be a lot of crossover with Mindstorms, unsurprisingly, but there was even a Jack Stone education set. At 166 pieces, it was technically the largest Jack Stone set ever, beating out Air Operations HQ by a single element. The world of LEGO Education is vast, sprawling, and diverse, and it's continued uninterrupted for longer than most of us have been alive, quietly churning out products exclusively available to educators. The sets generally don't call a lot of attention to themselves, but there's plenty of hidden gems that go under the radar, because you've got to go looking for these sets intentionally to find them. And there's a lot of them too. 14 education sets released in 2005, 20 released in 2010, and as much as 31 released in 2015. Some of these are single-piece motors, but others are 1,000-piece behemoths. First LEGO League is, I imagine, most people's touchpoint with LEGO Education. You'll find the yearly arenas in here, random polybags, as well as supplemental items like the trophies. A more recent highlight of the Education line though is the Panama exclusive Panama Canal Learning Kit, which has you construct a series of locks to help ships navigate the channel. All this to say that LEGO is still indeed producing education sets, and they've just released 4 brand new ones. But these are a bit different than everything else that has come before, because for the first time, they're not available just to educators, they're available to you. Yes, you can find these 4 new sets just on lego.com. And the whole idea of these is that they're giving you the ability to learn from home. And these are actually quite fun. There's 2 smaller sets that have 2 experiments in them, and then there's 2 larger sets that have 4 different experiments. And each experiment has a book guiding you through the process. There's the Moon Mission Kit with 519 pieces and 2 experiments. Then there's the Mars Mission Kit with 933 pieces and 4 experiments. And then we switch things up a bit, going over to the Antarctic Animal Science Kit with 461 pieces and 2 experiments. And that pairs nicely with the Arctic Animal Science Kit with 1,134 pieces. That's going to be the biggest set of the bunch. And this is definitely in the running for best box art of the year. I love to rag on LEGO's lousy box art, and this definitely restores a bit of my faith in the company. It's kind of an interesting blend of hidden side, and it reminds me also a lot of the Forma box art they did a number of years back. I think in the education context, they can get away with this more abstract design, and I am so here for it. These are super enticing box arts to me. A huge thank you to LEGO for sending these over. This is not the typical LAN fare that I expect from them, but I'm actually having a ton of fun with my toys, which is lovely, even though I am not the target demographic for these. So yeah, let's do a few of these experiments. The first one is a rocket landing. And this one actually feels incredibly timely because was there not a little probe that landed on the moon and promptly fell over? This is actually a real practical struggle. And LEGO here wants you to try and accomplish the same thing. So you're dropping this landing craft on the surface of Mars, and your goal is to make it stand upright, which on its own, it does not do very well. So the first bit of the instruction booklet here gives you the prompt, the situation, the problem that you are to overcome, and walks you through how to actually build the initial part of the structure. Then you're going to get to the solve portion of the experiment, and that's where you're left on your own. It's awesome. It feels like it's been a long time since LEGO has encouraged us to actually try building something on our own, and I love to see kids being encouraged to do that. It's much better than building a licensed display set with the intention of letting it sit there and collect dust. These kits want you to build stuff, tear it apart, build something new again and again. I know too many people who are scared to break their creations. This requires you to do it, and it makes it fun and rewarding. So you open up the next bag of parts. There's no instructions, no nothing. It's now up to you to use the parts from this bag to make something that will allow the pod to land upright and hopefully soften the landing. So the set includes some nice rubber pieces here too that will give us kind of a spring effect. So I'm going to be making use of those. Though it looks like I used them too much because here the pod just bounced off the ground and landed once again on its side. I really thought I was going to be able to get this on the first go, but it's harder than it looks. Here goes nothing. Hey! It was still a bit of a strong landing. We popped the windshield open, but all in all, not too bad. From there, you've got one more step, and that's the invent, where you create something from the ground up. No base model to go off of. It's a similar concept, just expanding upon it. How would you drop supplies down to the astronauts? So the instructions have you make the entire pod vessel and the landing system. All right, this next one's all about whales, and who doesn't love whales? What are baleen plates? So the goal here is to try to create some LEGO baleen plates so that the whale can actually eat the krill. Because right now, we're not doing such a great job because poor bro got no teeth. And once again, the first part of the instructions take you through the basics on how to make the platform, the krill, and the whale, but then you're left on your own with just a bag of parts to give him some good baleen plates to eat some krill. Also, the krill build is awesome. I think this one's gonna be a bit easier than the drop tower, but we will see. We basically just wanna make sure his mouth is fully enclosed so he can kind of scoop up all these delicious krill. We've got a ton of these 1x2 profile bricks, which look like the real thing, but there's also a ton of telescope pieces in here as well that you could almost just put on the bottom and scoop them out that way. There's no right or wrong way to do this. That's kind of the beauty of it. You can't check your answers in the back of the book. Either it works or it doesn't. Let's see. You know what, that's pretty good. And then for the invent phase, you've got a totally different prompt where you design a boat for the scientists to follow the whale in order to place a tracker on it. I kind of like this because it's more or less just a creative build session. Your boat doesn't have to float or anything like that. Probably can't with the pieces that I'm gonna find in this bag. But I'm all for getting people to just try building something of their own, and this provides a very safe and easy environment in which to do so. And I've only just scratched the surface here. There's 12 total experiments across these 4 sets. And there's a surprising bit of variety going on here. While I can't imagine my average viewer running to the store to pick these up, I think these are a phenomenal gift idea. It's something that's got a lot of replay value, I think, out of it. Especially the bigger sets, there's so much to do with these. And I had way more fun with these sets than I thought I was going to. They really are quite a delight. But anyway, let me know what you make of these sets, and if you have any interest in picking them up. There's a lot of potential for a theme like this, so we'll see what they do in the future. I hope you enjoyed our brief history lesson and our little bit of experimentation too. Have yourself a fantastic life, and I'll see you again soon.